Hey there, today I'm going to mod pattern number 9777 and I'm going to take it from 6 strings to 8 strings and see what we can learn along the way. So let's roll that intro. Hello and welcome, this is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and today we are going to mod this pattern 9777 and it's kind of fun. It's an interesting way that it repeats. So Control C, and we are going to go with this. This is where I double up the string and go with 8. So the other one is a 6 strings, right? If you look at this, there's 6 on this side, 6 on the other, so 12. This has got 8 on one side. So the gist is I'm going to add a couple strings, make it whatever. I'm going to, hang on, let me rotate this and enlarge it so I can see what I'm doing. Make it big. And yeah, that's fine. And push this off to the side. Now, hang on. I have an extra line here. I need to get that gone. Okay. Let's slide this up and anchor the layer. So yeah, so we're going to add a couple strings to it. We're going to try to keep the essence of the design together and just make it a bit different. So I'm going to start with the red because I kind of feel like that's what really is making this thing whatever. So yeah, we got the red, we got a yellow, the yellow can be the dot here. So it alternates every other one. That's kind of neat. I'm almost thinking it feels like the red should almost be a little bit bigger if we're expanding the whole thing, but I guess since the red is essentially the heart of this bracelet, we'll leave it alone. And so I was saying before, like when you double up the strings, you get a much smaller, well, it's not a smaller bracelet. The bracelet ends up being the same size. You just have a lot fewer knots. And I think that's, see, we could fit one more in there, but I think we're going to let the colors go into the middle. I think that'll look way cooler. All right, so the yellow is every other one. Let's see where that ends up for us. Oh, that's cool. All right, that's not bad. And so now we have a blue that goes on the outside. Let's grab a blue. Is that how that works? It looks like that's how it works. Because the blue goes through the middle. Yes. That is exactly how this works. So it's going to be real easy to trace out these colors for this. And when we add in our extra string, I'm wondering if we're going to add to how, like, maybe this blue gets used an awful lot. The red certainly seems like it does. Maybe the blue. All right, so now this is kind of like an orange color. Sure, why not? So it goes and collides in with these reds and just bounces off and goes out. Whoa. Got a little hit or miss there. All right, so this is interesting. I'm not loving it just yet, but there's some room that we can play with this design. See how this goes. So again, why would we want to add in a couple more strings? Well, first off, if you make a kumi, you need 8 strands, right? So that might be your reason right there. Maybe you're looking to increase the number of strings. Maybe you're looking to widen out a relatively small pattern into something a little bit more, dare I say, manly. Doesn't have to be a man's bracelet, really, but you know what I'm saying. All right, so the next one, there is like a dark gray. Let's take this gray and just darken it up some. So there's a gray dot in each one of these, and I have no idea if we're just going to leave it just as a dot or if we're going to expand on that. So we have a lot of space over here. I got a feeling like for the most part that's not because in the original pattern it was just like some white in here, or kind of an off-white, I guess is what that is. Actually, so let's go, here's white, go from the yellowish, there's a nice off-white. What if we do that with the off-white? I kind of like it. So I was saying, maybe it's because of the kumis, maybe it's the size that you want to see different. Whatever it is, being able to change a pattern into something different for yourself is something that I think we've all wanted to do at some point or another. And I'd like to demonstrate that how easy that can be. So at this point, I think it's best that we start filling in some of the underlying strings, so that way we make sure, like this color here, like how is that going to get there exactly? I don't know. The only way to find out is by sorting out where all the underlying strings go. So let's do that, figure out what we have, and figure out what we can do with the remaining space. It might just be one more color that we add in here. I mean, it's technically should be like 2 strings, right? So maybe 2 different shades of gray? Because you could go like maybe this is a dark, medium, and then light. That might be interesting. Mind you, some of these colors really do get used an awful lot. Like this is, like this color here. And mind you, yes, I kind of use the colors that it sort of came with, but I could picture some other combinations that might be kind of fun with this. Like, don't be afraid of exploring other colors. Like, honestly, I've done the same bracelet pattern 6-8 different times just because I wanted to see what a different color combination might look like. So don't be afraid to experiment, change out colors. There's a color picking tool that will let you pick all of the same one color, and then you can just paint it whatever you want. That's why we don't paint with black, is so you can actually change up these patterns and try different color combinations and see what you get. Also, don't paint with white, because that would also, like, if you try to pick all the white and change it to a color, your whole background would get messy. All right. And for the most part, this looks like a really easy pattern to follow. You know, the way that the colors travel and stuff, it's not too bad. Everything revolves around these red boxes, so that's should be easy enough to make. I guess we'll find out, because I do plan on making these. So, and if you haven't noticed, like, after I've made a bracelet, if I come up with any insights, I share it over on my webpage, AKAAWOL.com, so that way you guys can see what I may have learned if I caught on to anything that is useful. You can tell my concentration level is like really high here. I'm trying so hard not to do that. I don't want to hit the black. And yeah. I wish there was a faster way of doing this, but at the same time, it's much faster than I used to use colored pencils and a graph paper look like this that I would have to take and have Xeroxed off. Back when you go to like a print center and stuff, pay like 5 cents a copy. That was back in the late 80s, designing patterns and coming up with neat new things to do with the knots. You can tell though, I mean, look how quick this was, right? This is much faster because the strings are doubled up. It's a lot less knots. Oops, there we go. All right, yellow. Whoops. Oh. Huh. Why? All right. I think we have to change how that works. Because if you look, the yellow comes this way and comes out through there. So if we want these blacks to be there, we have to change how that works. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, like I said, sometimes you have to kind of go through and see like whether or not a color can actually be in a spot. And if this is yellow with the off-white coming in, it has to be yellow or off-white. The only alternative is we reroute the directions, which is what I'm going to do to get that dark color there. And while we're at it, we'll see how the dark color travels to see whether or not it can make a presence somewhere else. Doesn't look like it, but we'll see. So a lot of corrections to be done. Whoops. And that's, I guess, a valuable lesson here in designing, that when you're trying to put a color in a place, how to get it there, what can you do if it doesn't turn out quite the way you wanted. So yeah, we're going to fix it right here. See, by changing this to have the off-white come outwards, out towards the edge, we now have room for this. Now we can trace. See, it has to come in this way, and it goes right there. Perfect. Yeah. So it kind of stays on the inside a lot, you know, works itself with this inner colors and stuff in here. But it works itself out to that one space. So there we have it. I kind of wish I knew which color really got used the absolute most in this. It's kind of hard to tell. Like the red does a lot, the orange certainly seems to do a lot. I am mildly curious as to which color gets used the most. All right, what color? Let's go with a light gray. I kind of feel like with the way that we have like off-white and a dark gray here, I kind of feel like this is a great combination for out here. And you can see this one travels pretty easily. This will be a easy one to follow. And we just, whoops, mirror it on the other side. If you keep hitting the outer lines, it probably means you're zoomed out just too far. It's a whole lot easier to hit your target when the target's bigger. All right, so that leaves us with one color left. I think honestly I'm just going to go with the blue. It gets used an awful lot, and in this kind of setting you can see that you can swap them out when it gets to this junction. It's not, you could literally just put a white string in here and it wouldn't matter. It's not necessary. I'm just using one that gets used a lot so it can be replaced. If I was going to put this on the web, I probably would put it as a white string though. That way people would know that it's not a string that actually makes a knot. I just feel like that's should be a thing when designing. All right, there's half of our bracelet. Looks pretty cool. Let's see what happens when we go and make it complete. Control C, Control V, flip vertical. And just kind of line these things up. And anchor layer. And there's our bracelet. I think it turns out pretty cool. I think that's, I think I'm going to enjoy making that. So that was our bracelet design for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I think I did. I think I'm actually going to enjoy actually making this bracelet. So yeah, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Like the video. Please like the video. And before I go, I want to thank my Patreon supporters for making all these possible. And as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.